Welcome everyone. This presentation concerns the application of a dedicated methodology for the technical and economic assessment of protection systems for DC grids. It will focus on an application for a large-scale 35-terminal DC grid and will give some main outcomes about the protection of such large DC grids. I am Serge Poulain from Supergrid Institute and I have been working within Work Package 4 of the promotion project as the Task 4.5 leader. I also contributed to Work Package 12's work. The first part of this presentation is dedicated to a brief recap on fault clearing strategies and the need for technical and economic assessment. The second section presents an application for a large-scale 35-terminal DC grids. The costs of DC circuit breakers represent a significant part of the protection system CapEx. A dedicated parametric cost model for DC circuit breakers has been developed and is briefly introduced here. Finally, some main outcomes regarding the performance and cost of protection system for large-scale DC grids are highlighted. Two main fault clearing concepts are generally considered for DC grid protection. The first one consists of acting in the same way as we would in an AC system with a fully selective fault clearing strategy. Each line being a protection zone, the principle lies in the rapid identification of the faulty line, followed by its isolation by DC circuit breakers installed at each line end. It generally requires fast DC circuit breakers associated with a DC reactor to limit the speed of the rising fault current. It acts fast and is expected to have a limited impact on AC network stability. However, it requires expensive, fast DC circuit breakers and, as such, can result in high costs for the protection system. The second concept, the non-selective fault clearing strategy, considers the full DC grid as a protection zone. It consists of first isolating the DC grid for any power source in order to suppress the fault current. This isolation can be achieved by installing a DC circuit breaker at each converter output or by using converter with fault current controlling capabilities. Then the identified faulty line is isolated using a high-speed switch or a DC circuit breaker installed at each line end. The power flow is then restored through the DC grid. It leads to the temporary full interruption of active power flow through the DC grid, and as such could have a higher impact on AC network stability. In using slower DC circuit breakers, it is expected to be a more cost-effective protection solution. All protection systems must comply with various requirements. Among them, reliability and selectivity ensure that the faulty line will be isolated. Speed is required to deal with the fast rise of the DC fault current and can lead to the use of devices which limits current rise, such as DC reactors. DC grid fault clearing strategies could impact the frequency and transient stability of the AC transmission system surrounding the DC network due to the temporary disruption of DC power flow that can reach values of several gigawatts for 100 to 200 milliseconds. The impact on AC system stability is strongly dependent on the power action prior to fault inception and on the value of the system inertia. If the AC system is operating close to its stability limits, it might not accept a large grid disturbance, as illustrated by grid 1 in the figure on the right. A fully selective fault clearing strategy would be certainly more adapted for protecting the DC grid in that case, but probably at a higher cost. However, if the grid disturbance requirement is lower, as illustrated by grid 2, it is expected that a slower and more cost-effective non-selective protection strategy will meet all the protection requirements. In other words, the question is, do we always need to be fast? In the end, it can be said that protection systems performance needs first to be considered in order to comply with the system-level requirements, but that it could be overly expensive to always implement the most performance strategy. Therefore, we need to assess the performance and the cost of the protection system in order to be able to select the strategy with the right performance at the right cost. A dedicated methodology for this technical and economic assessment of protection system for DC grid was developed with such a purpose. The proposed methodology relies on the calculation of a set of key performance indicators. Here is a brief recap on those indicators. Efficiency indicators measure the impact a protection strategy can have on the AC/DC system. They assess to what extent the performed protection sequence is able to limit the impact of DC contingencies on the interconnected AC/DC system. Failure indicators measure the reliability of the protection strategy by given the probability that either the primary protection sequence or the backup sequence fail to clear the fault. Economic indicators estimate the cost of the protection strategy and, combined with other indicators, make it possible to find the optimum strategy from a techno-economic perspective. This methodology has been applied on a large-scale 35-terminal DC grid, which is here represented with its main characteristics. 4 fault clearing strategies are evaluated. 2 full selective strategies, the first one using fast DC circuit breakers in series with the DC reactor, the second one using slower and more cost-effective DC circuit breakers in series with the DC reactor. 2 non-selective protection strategies are also considered. The first one uses full bridge converters with full current controlling capabilities associated with medium voltage slow DC circuit breakers installed at each light end. The second one is a converter breaker strategy with slow DC circuit breakers without DC reactor. Note that all proposed strategies lead to a quite high number of DC circuit breakers needing to be installed in order to allow both primary and backup protection sequence. This table gives the DC circuit breakers main specification for the 4 fault clearing strategies. It can be observed that the design of the protection system leads to different specifications and consequently to different costs. More particularly, the presence of DC reactor with full selective strategies leads to quite a high level of energy being dissipated by surge arrestor and to an additional volume of weight for the DC circuit breaker. For non-selective strategies, it can be observed that some DC circuit breakers would have to withstand potentially very high short-time currents. These currents are mainly due to the discharge of several cables in the fault and could lead to some technical limitation for the DC circuit breaker technology. As such, this could be a limitation of these strategies. However, these currents are more a question of topology design than related to the size of the DC grid. Solutions to limit this current would have to be proposed if required. A specific task was dedicated to the development of parametric cost models of DC circuit breakers, as only very limited information about it can be found in current literature. The DC circuit breaker cost model has been developed for both fast hybrid and slower mechanical DC circuit breaker technologies. The cost of a DC circuit breaker is computed from breaker specification and is broken down into material costs calculated from component breakdown and ratings, estimated labor costs, and installation cost. An offshore platform additional cost depending on the weight and the volume of DC circuit breaker is also computed. It will be shown that this extra cost may be not negligible. The figure on the left presents the total cost of the protection system for the 4 considered strategies. For the non-selective protection strategies using full bridge converters, the additional cost of the converters in regard to a half bridge converter cost, here depicted in green, is added as a protection component cost. The figure on the right gives the contribution the protection system costs as to the total DC grid costs, including transformers, converters, and cables. The capex of protection system which use DC circuit breakers is dominated by the DC circuit breaker capex, including braking devices, reactors, and surge arrestor. The capex of the full bridge-based strategy is dominated by the extra cost of the converter, which seem to make it less competitive from a cost perspective. Additionally, the costs associated with the DC circuit breaker's weight and volume, here depicted in dark blue, especially if the DC circuit breaker are installed on an offshore platform, are not negligible. From a capex point of view, there is an advantage for non-selective protection systems using DC circuit breakers at converter terminals. Finally, it can be observed that the protection system capex does not exceed 9% of the total grid capex. Impact on AC system stability is a key driver for the design and selection of the protection system. From this perspective, the performance of a protection strategy can be assessed through the time it takes to restore active power through the DC grid. This time has been calculated through EMT simulation for the two fully selective protection strategies and for the non-selective with converter breaker strategy. The figure on the left shows an example of the trajectory of the active power at all AC-DC converter terminals during the protection and grid restoration process. With a fully selective strategy, only a part of the converter terminals experiences a significant temporary power flow disturbance if a relevant control tuning of MMC converters is implemented. With a non-selective strategy, all converter terminals see a temporary full power flow interruption. The potential impact on AC system stability can be projected by positioning the different protection strategies, considering on one side the percentage of converters seeing a significant temporary power flow disturbance, and on the other side the maximum time needed to restore active power, calculated among all simulated fault scenarios as depicted in the figure on the right. It can be observed that using a non-selective strategy could lead to a potentially higher impact on the AC system. However, such an impact is strongly related to AC system characteristics, such as inertia, and power exchange through the DC grid before the fault inception. Then, it should be case by case fully analyzed. Implementing partially selective protection strategies based on splitting the grid into several protection zones could be a solution to reduce the potentially higher impact on the AC system of non-selective strategies. One such grid splitting approach was considered by implementing a firewall device, a fast DC circuit breaker, at one line end of the grid, thereby splitting the grid into two protection zones as shown here. Each zone is then protected by a non-selective converter breaker fault clearing strategy. These two figures show an example of the trajectory of the active power at all AC-DC converter terminals during the protection and grid restoration process obtained in the two protection zones. As expected, it can be observed that only the converters belonging to the faulty zone experience a temporary full power flow interruption. The non-faulty zone is not affected. The potential reduction of the impact on the AC system which is obtained by implementing a partially selective strategy is illustrated here by the displacement of this protection strategy towards the lower potential impact area, lower left side, in the assessment reference frame proposed here. This example illustrates the potential interest of implementing a partially selective fault clearing strategy for large-scale DC grid protection. However, the full demonstration of such partially selective strategies is still to be carried out and will need additional development and tests. These two graphs present the two considered performance indicators versus the cost of the protection system for the four considered protection strategies. It can be observed that higher performance are obtained with a fully selective strategy with a fast DC circuit breaker, but at up to twice the cost of the non-selective with converter breaker strategy. The grid splitting concept seems to allow for an increase in performance at quite a low additional cost when implementing non-selective fault clearing strategies. The two following slides give some main outcomes regarding the protection of large-scale DC grid with 100% cables. A large set of protection strategies are technically applicable to large-scale DC grid with 100% cables. From a DC grid security reliability perspective, the increase of grid size does not seem to limit the application of both fully selective and non-selective fault clearing strategies. The potential very high short-time currents observed with non-selective strategies is a limitation of such strategies. However, they are mainly due to the discharge of several cables in the fault and are more a question of topology design than related to the size of the DC grid. Fully selective fault clearing strategies lead to a potentially lower impact on the AC system illustrated by the shorter times needed to restore active power through the DC grid that relies on the MMC control performance, and by a local impact on converters. Only a part of converter experiences a significant temporary power flow disturbance. The local impact effect is probably increased by long distances in a large-scale DC grid. The faster the fault clearing, the higher the local impact effects, and the lower the time needed to restore active power. Higher times to restore active power through the DC grid, less than 200 milliseconds, as well as a more global impact on converter, that is to say that all converters see a temporary full active power interruption, are observed with non-selective fault clearing strategies. Such behavior is quite independent of the size of the DC grid. The impact on AC system stability is related more to AC system characteristics such as inertia and power exchange through the DC grid before the fault inception than to the size of the grid. As such, it can be expected that both fully selective and non-selective strategies could be applied for the protection of many large-scale DC grid configurations and environments. The case of a large-scale DC grid exchanging high power with AC system with high grid impact requirement requires particular attention. In such a case, stability limits can be exceeded when using non-selective strategies or with fully selective strategies backup protection sequences. Fully selective strategies could then be preferable, but the backup protection sequence should be carefully analyzed. Non-selective strategies could have some limited application, but a case-by-case assessment would be required to fully conclude. Implementing a partially selective strategy by grid splitting could be a possible solution to reduce the impact on the AC system when implementing non-selective protection strategies at quite a low additional cost. Furthermore, it could make it possible to implement different protection strategies in different zones of the grid and therefore facilitate the DC grid protection extensibility. However, it is important to note that such solutions are very case-specific and that the full demonstration of partially selective fault clearing strategies still needs to be completed. No protection system is considered inapplicable or impossible due to its excessive cost. Protection system capex is lower than 10% of the full DC grid capex, whatever the size of the DC grid. However, a significant reduction of capex is obtained with non-selective converter breaker fault clearing strategy. It appears that there is no single preferred protection strategy which outperforms all other protection strategies. It is unclear that the selection of the right protection system is a question of finding the best techno-economic option among all proposed protection strategies, considering both required performance and cost. As such, it is a real benefit to have the opportunity to select very different options for protecting DC grids. More information can be found in the public deliverable D4.7. Thank you for your attention. Feel free to contact me for further information.